We're looking at a Honda 2007 Honda Metropolitan. Pretty nice condition. Belongs to a buddy of mine. He wanted to change the front tire, probably because of those cracks right there. He wanted to do an oil change on it. And I guess this is a common problem with them. Something happens and they start dropping engine speed. When you're trying to go as fast as it can, you know, wide open throttle, basically it feels like it's running out of fuel. It just starts spitting and sputtering and carrying on. So we want to check and see if it's got bad gas in it, if the carburetor, jet's possibly plugged up on it. So I've never worked on one of these things before, but just doing a quick cursory, it looks like right there's our carburetor, and that would be our fuel filter. I see a hose clamp that somebody put on there. Looks like aftermarket, because I doubt that would have been the normal hose clamp. And looks like to pop the seat open, you take the key and push it to the seat position and push, and that releases the back seat. Let's turn that back off. Take a quick gander. Down inside of here is the battery, which I'm kind of curious. Let me move that button for the seat. Oh yeah, okay, so it's just a cable. I was wondering if the battery was dead, how would you get the seat open? Alright, this looks like coolant reservoir. And directly below this box right here appears to be the top of the carburetor. So let's attempt to gain access. What do y'all think? There's 10mm bolts right there and there. Maybe a couple here for the seat. We'll leave those for last because I'm not sure if those need to come out. And then some Allen bolts right down here. Let's see if that's enough to get this thing to come loose. Yep, 5mm. And oh, there we go. Whole thing, seat and all comes out. All right, top of the carburetor. Looks like we have a electronic throttle control maybe, or a throttle sensor. I'm guessing this is probably an enricher circuit. The fuel filter is on backwards. It's not really going to hurt it on this one. It just means that all the dirt's going to be caught on the inside, so you don't really know how dirty this filter actually is. I think we want to just get this carburetor out of here. Just get it cleaned up. I really can't go test this thing. It's all snowy outside just yet. And the guy that gave it to me, he's pretty smart. He knows that something's wrong. So as far as, I really don't need to duplicate the problem to know that I've got an issue. Let's see. Fuel supply is shooting down here to the bottom. So this right here obviously is our fuel tank. There we go. I really can't tell if there's any water in there right now or not. Okay, so are we just going to vacuum that out? Or are we going to try to find another spot on this tank? What do you think? What's below this? Will we gain anything by pulling that out? Alright, so there's already a screw missing here, but we can pull that entire shroud off. Phillips head screw here, probably JIS. One over here. One down here, I bet. Yep. Like I said, we're already missing one over here. So we might be on the right track. Looks like it goes backwards first. I know that the white part has to go forward first because the red part has a hook on the backside. So, but I can't push the white part in until I get these two here separate. Oh, there's a screw holding these two together. Right now I'm thankful for videoing this so I can put it all back together. Go. Oh, that's so much easier. Looks like this spoiler or skirt, whatever you want to call it, needs to come off first. I'm gonna have to watch the video just to be able to put this thing back together. How does it come apart? I think I've made some progress here. All right, so right down here is a fuel pump. Fuel pump has a hose that comes up from here, comes up to this filter, and then that feeds into the carburetor. Looks like that's loose now. Hey, what we're gonna do? We're gonna pinch off that line. We're gonna pull out this tank. Shoot, there's a sending unit here that I don't see a connection for. Let's vacuum up all this dirt off of here. Still dirt down in there. Oof. I've got a slam full tank. All right. Well, let me try to get that out of there. Yeah, that thing just broke right off. Okay, let's see. that fuel sending meter was actually no good anyway because it doesn't even move. But yeah, it broke off. But like I said, it was no good anyhow. It doesn't even move. Let's pinch off the fuel line. And disconnect our fuel pump. I know you guys are having a hard time seeing. I apologize. All right, let's get this spilled out into something else. Well, there's a little bit of dirt in there, but not much. How about inside the tank? Yeah, the tank's got a little bit more dirt than, I'll show you all here in a second. Let me get this transferred over to another fuel holding tank. Okay, so this will be a fair test though. That's the gas I just pulled out of there, and it's actually kind of cloudy, so it does have moisture in it. Let's take a peek down in the tank. Yeah, it's got some varnish. Definitely needs to be cleaned out. And it looks like that hose right there, there's a metal hose right there at the bottom of that flashlight. That metal hose comes up and goes to this barb right here. That pickup tube is just off the bottom. Hopefully y'all can see that. It's a silver pickup tube, not this bar right here, but there's one right back behind it. And it looks like it's just off the bottom of the tank. Let's just blow a little bit of air through it and see if anything comes out of it. Well, looks like it was pretty clean as far as blockages go. As far as dirt and debris, not so much. I'm hoping you guys can see this. That right there, that's after I got pulled a lot of the gasoline out of there. That's the debris and dirt and everything else that's left behind. So I'm going to shove a rag down in there, try to get as much of that absorbed up as possible. I put a blue rag down inside there and soaked up all the gasoline that I could find. Then I used a grabber, you know, a grabber, and just grabbed that rag and moved it all around the tank best I could, you know, rubbing the gas on the bottom. And it got a lot of stuff out of there, but I still see a lot of trash. Like you see all that debris here at the bottom. That literally is debris, you know, that's moving around. So big chunks of stuff. Let's find a way to vacuum inside this thing and blow air through it and get all that stuff to move around the tank so the vacuum can suck it up. I've got a shop vac bag in there. Now fumes are extremely flammable, and if I was concerned about sucking up any kind of fumes in this thing, I would have not let it go into the shop vac. So this thing was completely dry. So I placed the fuel tank back on, and I rehooked up the fuel supply to the fuel pump. Set this back in place. I'd like to get this a brush and get this sending unit all cleaned off of here so no more debris falls in. Anyway, let's go ahead and pull this wiper off of this thing completely, because I'm having trouble getting that dirt out of there. The wiper is held on with this pin right here. And the pin has this little retaining clip on it. And a little retaining clip like that. Then the wiper should be able to come out. There we go. And then this piece should just lift right off. Or just break right off. That thing is on there, is bound to it so hard. There we go, it's finally moving. Now that part broke off. There we go. Alright, if yours wasn't in as bad a shape as mine was, you could have probably pulled off that wiper arm and cleaned all these contacts and put it back together, and your fuel sending unit probably would have worked. I, on the other hand, I'm just trying to plug a hole. I'll look for a new sending unit, but for right now, like I said, I'm just trying to plug up a hole. Alright, we know we're good to that point. At least we've got a clean fuel supply now up to the beginning of the pump. We haven't checked anything else beyond that. Alright y'all, I ordered a fuel sending unit. That should be here in a couple weeks. Let's go ahead and get this carburetor off of here and see if that's gummed up. And prior to putting some fuel in this thing, maybe after I put some fuel in it, I'm gonna try to turn on the pump and make sure that I flush out what's inside this line. Let's take a JIS screwdriver, because most likely that's what these are. Get the throttle disconnected. Just disconnect. I'm only going to loosen up one side. Let's loosen up this side. Hope you guys can see, because I can't. Come loose off of there. And get my fingers to move. All right, so pull that bottom nut out, and then at that point I should be able to lift this right out of there. Pull the cable out, and my throttle's loose. Let's see, what does it take to get the air box loose? Looks like that whole air box is potentially held right here. Is that enough? Nope. Looks like there's going to be one more right back here. Does that give me enough space? There we go. All right, so that part's out. Out. Okay, so I believe that this would be like a enricher circuit, you know, like a automatic choke enricher circuit. This right here looks like it is the throttle position sensor. I don't know what these are. That's a good question. I wonder if these go to a coolant line. This might be antifreeze. Yep, that's antifreeze. All right, let me pinch these off real quick. Let's see. Yep, so that is obviously for, well, I don't know if it's for warming it up or if it's actually for cooling it down. I'm gonna have to research that one. Okay, and then nothing left but the fuel line with that clamp that I wanted to remove anyway. Can I get it with this? Yeah, that clamp definitely would have leaked at some point. That's the only thing that's making me think that this carburetor's been off of here before. Just the fact that that clamp was like that. Let's get it on the bench. I'm suspecting if I'm going to have a problem, it's going to be in the main body here, inside the bowl, and in the jets. This has been off before. These screws are definitely have definitely been worked before. I've seen worse, but still stand to use a cleaning. Yeah, I can't really, I mean, I can try to capture this, but basically there's dirt floating around inside here. So when it was upside down, all that dirt would have been down in this area. This is going to be the idle jet. I think this is your starting jet, and I believe this is your idle jet. Could be wrong. And then this right here would be our main jet. Which, if it's dying at wide open throttle, or starving at wide open throttle, which I swear is going to be that fuel. But If it was, I would anticipate that a restriction here would have caused that. We'll pull out the slide just to check that rubber gasket. Looks like it's installed properly anyway. Let's check this for any kind of cracks. Yeah, nothing jumping out at me. Yeah, I say we just clean out the passages. Spend a little bit of time getting these surfaces clean. Clean out the seat, but I doubt it's that dirty. So let me clean up all these surfaces. A little brass wire wheel on a Dremel tool. Blow everything out. Some carb cleaner. Use the torch tip cleaner. You know, clean out all these passages. And I'll bring y'all back as soon as I think it's clean, ready to get reassembled. I just wanted to show you guys while I'm cleaning it up. You see all this dirt that came loose? I'm hoping y'all can see that. Yeah, all that came off the inside of the carburetor here. So even after the fuel filter, still needed quite a bit of cleaning. Anyway, I'll keep working on this. I'll bring you back. Oh, really small drill index, pipe cleaners, carb spray, brushes, you name it. And I think we're ready to put this thing back together. So I sprayed all this out. Let's get my jets put back in. Okay, let's see. Yep, works like it's supposed to. I'm gonna show y'all something real quick. See how the head of that is all, I'm not going to say mangled, but anyways, it's not as clean as it should be. There's a little dot right there. See a little dot on that head? That indicates it's a JIS screwdriver, which is slightly different than a normal Phillips head screwdriver. So a Phillips head screwdriver will round out these heads like this. A GIS screwdriver is made to grab those heads. It's just a slightly different head design, and it's very minor. A Phillips head will work a lot of times, but when you've got one that's really stuck, using the right screwdriver will make all the difference in the world. So when you see that little dot on the head of the screw, grab the JIS screwdriver. Stands for Japanese Industrial Standard. So the slide should only go in one way, and then there's a ring on this lip to help you figure out which way that is. Actually, I didn't even see a keyway on this slide, so it wouldn't surprise me if it would fit other directions. I'm hoping that's it for the fuel supply problems. Like I said, I want to wash that, flush that line out, but I'm hoping that that's it for the fuel supply problems. Well, let's get this thing put back on the bike. So the fuel line, we're going to leave off till the very end. Let's get our two coolant lines put on before we get too far and forget. This hose here should have been on here. Just a vent line. It just comes right up here over to a vent. Okay. Get my clamp out the way. Let's carefully get this put back in the intake. That goes there. Let's pull that one right on there. Tightened up. Get my throttle position sensor hooked back up. And my enricher circuit. And I think there's a breather hose right there. Should be able to get my throttle hooked back up because I can reach the fuel line when I'm done. Let's get the airbox on. Noticing that the box is loose. Let's get that checked out and see why it's loose. Yeah, that could stand to be cleaned. And while we're waiting on parts, let's go ahead and get this oil changed. So 17mm plug down here. What I'm going to do, if it starts getting full, all I'm going to do is just put my thumb over the hole, dump this into that bucket, and then put it right back. It says it holds 0.6 liters. Alright, so she's been draining for a little bit. And according to this dipstick, which takes 0.6 liters, which, if you're looking here, is 600 milliliters, right? So if it's got 950 milliliters, I want to leave 346 in the jug. So 346, so that's 400, 200, 300, and halfway between would be what I need to leave in the jug. Yeah, it looks about right. Yeah, once I threaded it in, that'd be it. All right, a couple more parts came in. Got a new air filter and got the new fuel sending unit. So I'm going to use this because it's an OEM part to figure out where that clamp is. I haven't found that connector yet. Let's finish up this air box first. Hey, love you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Ow.
All right, let's see. Looks like there's some plastic lips that has to go around. Okay, let's hold that tight. Like that, that connector should be probably right about here somewhere. And lo and behold, I don't know if y'all can see my finger, it's actually right here, little connector. right there, that little blue connector. So just mashed in the clip and pull it right out. So take it off of that one, put it on that one. Almost there. There we go. Now she's clipped in. I don't know how much y'all could see. That's kind of tight quarters. Locking ring in place. We can slide this under so that it's seated where it needs to be. And then once that's there, let's go ahead and lock it down. I should have done one of those, huh? So before I start putting covers and stuff back on, I want to get that fuel line flushed out. So let's put some gas in it, try to run that pump, and see if we can pump some of that gasoline through there. I'm putting fresh fuel in. I'm not messing with that other stuff that y'all saw. That should be enough. Get us going. Okay, it's about a half a tank. Something like that. Now the way my Honda Shadow works, the pump doesn't pump unless it's actually cranking. What we're going to do is just try to turn the key on and see if this is a electric pump that'll pump fluid right now. You know, pump fuel right now. No, it sounds like a pump. Okay, let's cycle that again. Oh yeah, it's pumping fuel. Can y'all see that? It only pumps for, I don't know, a few seconds, I guess. Okay, let's do it one more time. I think that'll be enough. So we want a new fuel clamp for this, and we want to get this onto the carburetor. So this was the gasoline I took out of there. Several days of sitting. I mean several. Right? And you see it just started to not be cloudy anymore. See all that cloudiness is coming up off the bottom right now? I don't know if you can. Anyway, that gas was no good. It smells decent, but that gas is no good, so that's why it's not going back in. Let's see if we can remember how to put this thing back together. There's some clips up front that go into those. These are the bolts that holds down that fuel tank. They go right through the fuel tank and into the body. Let's put this back on. that down into those grooves. See, those go down into those grooves there. There was a couple of snaps, one there and one on this side. I don't know if y'all could see me. This little red tab went down into this groove right inside here. This tab goes down in there, and then there's a standoff that punches through that. So I'm just pushing all those things into place. Try and get them all at one time. And it all snaps together up here at the top. I'm trying to remember, but I swear that this screw that I put in up this way, I thought I used a ratchet to get it off of there. So I might have the wrong screws in that thing. Which kind of makes sense because I'm missing a couple of the black Phillips head screws that I believe go here and here. So I think that I need to take these back out and reuse those down there. And I'm pretty sure that these little screws right here, I want to say go down there, and then I used a hex head. It might have been those for these up here. Sort of makes sense because it's generally considered a plastic style screw when it has those coarse threads like that. And going up into here, it has fender washers or clamps. It's not fender clamps. What am I thinking of? Do these fit any better? Yeah, seem to. It's that screw right there. These clamps go up in through there, push forward to lock in. There's a little tab right here that goes in there. There's a tab right here that goes into that hole, and another one up here. And then of course the screw is going to go into there. And then I've got another screw back here that's probably going to go on the face of that one, it looks like. It's all the way forward, which means this has to come back. There we go. How does that look? I can tell you it's tight. Yeah, think I can make that work. Alright, we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Give me just a second. Alright, it seems silly to do this right now without knowing that it runs, but there's really no good way for me to test this thing without really getting it out to where it's, you know, running. I don't know how else to describe that. And the seat goes on and off pretty easy. All right, make sure I don't lock the keys inside this thing, because this is how you open it. Alright, the only thing left on my punch list is getting a new tire put on this thing. Let me get a jack of some sort to lift this thing up so that I can pull it off of there easily. Thinking, I do have an ATV jack, but even the ATV jack has a couple of just arms that stick out, whereas this right here would actually lift up on the whole body. You know, it has a larger lifting surface. So I think we can make this right here work. Just enough to get the tire off the ground. So this right here is my front brake. 12 on this side, 17 on this side. All right, now we need something bigger. There we go. Let's set this down for a second. Okay. Let's get this thing lifted back up again. See if we can get this bolt out of here. Oh yeah, slides out easy. Okay, this assembly should just lift right off of here. So there's your brake shoes. And then that other piece sure looks like a speedometer cable. Well, I planned on using my bead breaker and tire machine for small tires, but the diameter of the bolt that comes through here is too large. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Let's find out rotation. So rotation, there's an arrow for rotation. It's going that way, just using a pencil, just to make sure we don't get turned around and get it wrong. Let's let the air out. Tell you what, this thing needs a valve stem too. Hope I have one. Yeah, this valve stem's got a big old crack in it. I was holding air though. Kind of funny. All right, if you guys don't have a bead breaker, you can do something very, very similar by using a jack underneath something that is robust, like the bumper of a car. I gotta find something to wedge it up on. Let's see if I can get this without it slipping. Get some weight on this thing. There we go. I got the bead broke on that side. Let's get it broke on the other side. Alright, so this isn't going to be very smooth. I just grabbed a bolt and stuck it in the vise. It's just sitting on there loose. But yeah, when tires get old like this, they're a lot harder to pull off. Just make sure that your tire is sitting up inside the groove of the rim. And when it comes to tires, you just can't take no for an answer. Sorry y'all, battery died. I heard it die and I literally froze right where I was trying to make sure you guys didn't miss it. But honestly, I think most of it's up right now. Let's see. There we go. All right, then we got the other bead. Just reach down and grab it. There we go. All right, so my arrow is still there for rotation. I've got that. We're going to go ahead and get a new valve stem put on this thing because this one's cracked. See that big old crack right there? If you don't have a tire tool like I'm about to use, you can use a pair of side cutters like this, and you would just grab a hold of the edge, don't pinch too hard, and then just use leverage and pull it through. But tire tools are a little bit easier on these. Should say valve stem tools. Usually they're easier. I got a feeling this one's going to be tough though. There we go. You're just pulling it through until it stops. It should look just like that. A lot of people, especially on lawnmowers, they will coat this with some oil and to make it slide on easier. You could potentially use some silicone, something like that, but on motorcycle tires, I don't like them, you know, having extra oil on that bead. So there's my arrow of rotation, there's my arrow. You just put it on just the exact same way you took it off. Just going to work your way around. Make sure that this backside is inside the groove of the rim so you have as much space as possible. If you're going to use some bead sealer, now would be a perfect time. Let's see if I've got enough air to fill this up without using the bead blaster. Yeah, I got a feeling we're going to have to use a bead blaster on it. What I'm trying to do is get enough air in there and that no air is sneaking past the beads. All right, we're going to use a bead blaster. Safety protection gear, personal protective equipment. Let's see if that was enough. It didn't quite get it all the way. Let's see if that was enough. Pretty sure I already know. All right, y'all. I tried just about everything I could. I ended up having to cheat and pull out some of my old stuff. It's not quite seated yet, but I used my Murphy soap for mountain tires. I hate using this stuff for a few reasons. about all I could do to get this thing to seat up. It's messy. It adds up material between the bead and the rim. I mean, it's made for this. This is actually what it's designed for mountain tubeless tires. But doggone is this stuff messy. All right, let's go ahead and get these beads to pop, and then we'll finish cleaning up. This tire just sat compressed for so long, I had a hard time getting it to come back in shape, and it's really cold out. Looks like 36 pounds at once. All right, 36 pounds. Yeah, I tried adding some soapy water to it so I could identify it, and pushing that area. I tried the ratchet strap. I did not do the ether. I know a lot of people do, but I just don't want to do that if I can absolutely help it. And that's what that product's designed for, but you gotta be real careful with it too. If you end up with a whole lot of it, you'll end up with a glob of it inside a tire, and on a car you'll actually feel it vibrating. This one here I barely had to put any on it, but as you can tell by how much I pulled off. Let's get it back on the bike. Let's get this back in place. I want to make sure that speed sensor lines up. And then on this back side, there was this bushing. Goes there. And then this keyway fits on the shock to keep it from spinning. Let's get that up into place. You see I put the bushing back in there, and this says it needs 35 foot-pounds, and it sure felt a lot tighter than that when I took it off. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of blue Loctite as my insurance policy to make sure that it doesn't come backing off on me. 12 mil wrench to hold it, and let's set this for 35. Okay. I always zero out my torque wrenches whenever I'm done with them. Oil change, air filter, cleaned out the fuel tank, new sending unit, new front tire. I don't know, what else did we do? Cleaned out the carburetor. Really nothing left to do but give this thing a try. And it's dark outside. And 10 degrees, 15 degrees, something like that. I am kind of curious though if it starts. Run position. Turn signals, lights, horn. I guess that's an electric choke. I think that's what we figured out, right? Let's give this thing a little bit more fuel. Oh yeah, I hear it priming up. Let's give it a little bit more fuel. There we go. Stop making that gurgling sound. Well, she's running. I had to put my hand on the brake. Started up nice and easy. That idle might be a little bit on the high side. Not sure though. It looks like there's a idle speed adjustment screw right here at the end of my light. That screw right there looks like an idle speed adjustment screw. I want to really try it because I've never ridden one of these, so I want to try to see if it actually is running fast and does the enricher circuit calm it down, you know, before I start going around adjusting anything. If the weather's nice tomorrow, we'll take it for a quick test drive. Make sure she gets up to speed and runs like it's supposed to. Make sure it does everything else, including holding air pressure in the tire. Does the fuel sending work? See, I think I put about 1/3 of a tank of fuel in it, maybe. Oh, look at there. Now we can tell how much fuel's inside this thing. Yep, that's about how much fuel I put in it. All right, I will hopefully talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, y'all, let's go for a ride. See if she fires up. Turn that on. Turn the gas on. Let it pump for a second. Pretty fast. sounded like it was bogging a little bit. Got up to 20 something miles an hour. I mean, low 20s, but still bogging a little bit. I think she might be starving for fuel. It's kind of what it sounds like. Let's get it back up on the bench. All right, so according to the specs on this, it's supposed to be able to hit roughly 40 miles an hour with a rider up to 250 pounds. I'm 50 pounds shy of that, and I only hit about 35 miles an hour maximum speed, and it took a little while to get there. I'm either dealing with a lack of fuel flow, a spark plug that's dying, or CDI that's possibly not quite there, or a plugged exhaust. That's my guess, because it starts right up, runs like it's supposed to. When I rev it up, I was able to put my hand behind here, and it felt like I had a decent amount of flow, exhaust flow. What I could tell when I was giving it throttle, it seemed like 3/4 throttle was kind of the sweet spot, and then it started dying after that. So it could be a spark plug, not a hot enough spark. It also could be a fuel restriction, the muffler, exhaust restriction, and it also could just be a lack of fuel, fuel restriction somewhere.